Welcome back to my coaching series. Today I have with me John, who's here for a second time for a second session of coaching. John, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's so good to be back.
Yes, I'm glad to have you back because it allows us to have a little bit of a continuation from our last coaching session. So if you haven't watched the video on John's first coaching session with me, John came in looking for a little bit of clarity around the next steps that he needs to take to get closer to what it is that he's looking for, which is figuring out what he needs to do to be a coach and get into the world of coaching. So, John, from that session towards the end, I think that we moved a little bit from maybe the more tactical stuff of like, what do I need to do? What's the next step? How do I get there? To more, having more clarity in the path that you want to create for yourself. Would that be an accurate statement? Would you like to add a little bit into that?
That no, you hit it right on the nail. That's that's definitely what it is. Yes.
Okay, great. So after our call, you and I had a conversation, and I know that you've kind of been toying with the idea of like, I don't know if I should start now or if I should delay. Should I, you weren't really sure about whether it makes sense for you to start pursuing coaching at this point in your life and your career or
Right.
to until later. So I had asked you to put together a list. So a little bit of homework around the pros and cons of starting now, as well as the pros and cons of delaying and starting later. So you had actually done an amazing job, and I could see that you put a lot of thought and detail into it. So I would invite you to just sort of talk up to me about like what was going through your mind when you were putting your list together of weighing the pros and cons.
Just for me personally, I was kind of going through like what can I do if I was to start now? What benefits is it? Like what can I share and what experiences have I already gone through that I could help with other people with? And so I was toying with that idea, and I was also like, okay, but what would be the advantages of if I delayed? Like, what happens if I waited a little longer? I got a little bit older, a little more life experience under my belt. I was toying with that idea as well, but I'm like, okay, so if I delay it, how would I feel if I delay it? So then I started brainstorming. I'm like, am I going to continue feeling not doing what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing, impacting lives? So I was just toying with the idea, every single idea of like, starting now, delaying, what are the pros? And then if I was to delay, how would I keep feeling if I delayed, or what can I experience if I did delay? Or what would be the cons of starting now at such a young age? So just toying with just my brain was going 100 miles an hour.
Absolutely. And I think when our minds go so quickly, I think it's because we care so much, right? Like
Yeah.
it's that's very important to us. So it weighs heavily. And then that gets us into sort of the overthinking stage,
Yes.
where we're really thinking about what it is that we're trying to do or like we're trying to get to a decision, right? Like when we're
Right.
overthinking, it's because the decision is not very clear. So we overthink our way out of a decision, right? Like normally what happens is this thing that we call analysis paralysis, where you're thinking about it so much that it actually leads to indecision. So the point of that exercise was really for me to help you have a tool that will help you organize your thoughts, right? Because if we leave our mind to its own devices, our mind will always lead us down a negative path, right? And it'll always find the wrong before it sees the right. So, by creating this exercise, you're actually able to engage with some positive thoughts as well as some negative thoughts under two separate scenarios. How helpful did you find, like, did you find that to what we were doing previously?
It was very helpful. I just kept all those thoughts in my mind, and I definitely would say I I experienced analysis paralysis for sure. Probably for weeks to close to a month now of just thinking and thinking and thinking. So it really helped out a lot to just write what I was thinking on a piece of paper and then see where I'm actually at. I have everything in front of me.
Mhm.
So it definitely helped a lot, not just thinking about it constantly. So it was so helpful. definitely got some weight off my chest for sure.
That's great. That's great. And I'm just curious, was there anything that you wrote down that actually surprised you?
I think I think with the starting now, just the experiences I have gone through, just was thinking back. I'm like, okay, if I'm going to write some pros of what to start now, I really want to figure out, is there pros to starting now? And I was just thinking about back in my life and the things I went through, my experiences. I'm like, I feel like there are some things out there, or there's some people that are struggling that I went through that I can help. So it kind of made me feel good that I have, maybe I do have a chance to at least start somewhere and helping somebody, even if it's one person.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, well, we are going to be diving into this in our coaching session today. But to start, let's talk about what outcome are you hoping to achieve by the end of our time today, just so that I'm clear.
I guess the clarity, or maybe me answering if I should start or not, or if it's, because either way, it's a good thing. It's a win to me. If I start now, I start doing something I love. If I start delaying, I'm building up to the person I'm supposed to be, and just finding clarity in the answer of like, okay, do I start now or do I delay? I think that's what I'm hoping for the end of the coaching session.
Okay, great. And what's so important for you to be able to find this decision or make this decision today? What's important about that or meaningful for you?
Answering my indecisions, like my indecisions that I just been having, or the thoughts that I've been having, just suppressing them, or actually just giving them an answer. This is something I've been thinking about for so long, and I think about it 24/7. I think that's one of the reasons why I get so burnt out, is because I'm always thinking about it, just because I get so excited about it, and I just like, I care so much about getting there, and so it'll definitely help me with like my overthinking and my anxiety. So if I can get them answered, it would definitely help me out a lot with my personal life.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so you really want to be able to get through our coaching session today with more clarity around which way you're leaning, whether or not you'd like
Yep.
to start the coaching journey today or delay it to a later time. So I guess we will know if you and I have been successful if you actually come up with a decision by the end of our session.
Sounds good. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you working with me.
And you're working with me, so let's see if we can for both of us.
I love it. I love it.
All right. Okay. So, John, you have gone through this exercise. You've spent at least a month thinking about this. Where are you at right now in your thinking?
I think what I wrote down, like, do I go for it now or do I wait a little bit longer? And I'm trying to find reasons to start now or find reasons to delay. So I'm just kind of in that indecision. I'm right on that fence. Like either way, whatever is heavier, I'm probably leaning more towards.
Okay. Okay. So that's great. Thank you. As I read through some of your pros and some of the cons of starting
Mhm.
now, or starting later, I noticed that there might be some limiting beliefs that you had identified. And my role as your mindset coach is really to break down those beliefs and break down those thoughts and really examine whether or not they're true.
Okay.
So that's the first thing we should do together. And then the second thing is really about reframing, right? Like we tend to look at things from our own perspective and our own life experience, but there are different perspectives that we can take on pros and on cons. So really what we want to do with our mind is to challenge our mind, to challenge our thinking and see if we can up level the way we're thinking about things in a way that really serves us, right? Because
Mhm.
normally we have a certain story or a certain narrative that we carry and we filter everything through that narrative. So, what we want to do today is try to expose the narrative, identify if that narrative is true, identify if it's serving us, and then try to reframe our thinking and our thoughts to something that's actually going to propel us forward and ultimately close the gap between where we are and where we want to be. So, that's what we want to achieve. Are you in?
Perfect. That is what I need.
Okay, amazing. Okay, so let's start with some of the cons that you identified in terms of now, right? Like
Yeah.
starting deciding and starting your coaching journey right now. Okay.
Mhm.
One of the things that, or maybe you can bring up some of the things that you brought up.
Yeah, so we're on cons, correct?
Yes, cons of
Okay,
starting. I have them
starting
in
now.
if it helps,
Perfect.
I can list them or I can have you sort of start with what's top of mind for you. It's your choice.
Yeah. I know one of them that I wrote down is my age and life experience, kind of like both combined. So being 21 years old, I know like I'm in sales right now, and I know like when I'm in sales and I meet people, especially when I was 19, they're like, man, this guy's a kid. Like, what does this kid know? Like what like we're working with this guy and he's like three times younger than us. And so I think my age and then my life experience, I know I've had a really I've had a really big journey through my childhood and high school and middle school, just growing up with all the adversities I had to go through. I just know that there's so much life left, and I know there's a lot to still go through. And so I feel like with my lack of life experience, I won't be able to reach out to more people just because I haven't lived a lot of life quite yet. So that's one of the cons that I wrote down, was just my life experience slash age. And there's still tons of life to live. Um, the other one that I think of wait or starting now is just my my knowledge, I guess. I guess I haven't gotten my certifications, or I haven't like looked into like coaching techniques or frameworks. So just my lack of experience on that too. I'm trying to think on top of my head what else I wrote down. I know I wrote more down. I just can't remember on top of my head.
No, that's good. You kind of talked about that were probably top of mind for you. So I'd love to start there, and I'm always happy to just kind of go in and pull a few more out as we
Okay.
go. But I liked what you picked because I think that that's kind of been a recurring theme since, I've chatted with you. I think this is our, like maybe our fifth call together, and
Yes.
I know that the issue of age tends to come up a lot.
Yes.
I would love to debunk this, help you debunk it as well, right?
Okay.
And I can absolutely relate because when I started my career, I was the youngest person there. And I always felt the way you felt, which is like, why would anyone listen to me? I don't have a lot, like, I don't have much value. I don't have enough life experience and, all this stuff. But then within 2 years, I had 4 promotions. So it
Oh
literally
wow.
proved to me that age does not mean anything unless we decide to assign it a specific meaning, right?
That's
So,
that's right.
so let me start by asking you, has age impacted your ability to succeed in your current career of sales in car dealerships?
It not in a negative way. I definitely like people have looked at me like what you mentioned, like, oh, what can this kid do? But I guess I never let it like bother me. I think when I first started in the car business, it did for like maybe the first month, but then I just remember the journey I was on, and I was like, it doesn't matter my age. It's just it matters about my work ethic and my drive and my results. So I just let my results speak for me. And so I didn't really care about my age after like a month of being in the car business.
And were there people in there that were older than you and younger than you? Like, were you the youngest one there?
I've every store I've been to, I've been the baby. Yep, I've been the baby of every store. Yep, I'm on my third store, and yep, I've been the baby to every store.
Okay, no, that's awesome. And did you ever feel like perhaps that gave you an unfair advantage?
Oh man, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know if it'd give me an unfair advantage. I guess I guess it all depends, because I mean anyone could have the drive I had, but I don't know. I just had a determination and drive to succeed at my goals. So if that's an unfair advantage, then yes, I did, just because I was driven.
I was thinking sort of more along the terms of like, oh, he's the young one. We want to mentor him. We want to help him. We want to support him. Like, like did age play a factor in maybe getting a little bit more support from superiors or
No,
call?
I actually the opposite. No, I think a lot of people are like, we don't want this kid here. Like this kid, he's not. He's like he just got out of high school. Like, what is this kid's not going to work hard. This kid's not going to be able to sell cars. He's not going to be able to build relationships with people. So it was actually the opposite. They were more resented from me. every store I've been to. So
Okay, okay. And did that happen? Were you not able to sell cars? Were you not able to build relationships? Were you not able to do those things?
I would say like the first month because I've always been an introvert and I was really shy. But once I like learned skills and how to create relationships and build rapport with people, because I've always loved people, that's where it kind of took off from there.
Yeah, yeah. So really it was more of a matter of getting your feet wet, getting a lay of the land, figuring out how to come out of that shell, and then
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It was always a big struggle of mine of being really shy. Like once the ball got rolling with someone, I could talk to someone, but it was always that first interaction. It was like, oh, it's so nerve wracking.
yeah, yeah. I think as introverts, we have specific, unique challenges that we do have to learn to overcome to be able to show up and create the service that we want to create for other people and serve them powerfully. So
100%.
yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for sharing that, John. That's great. That's great. So it sounds like age was really not a factor in your ability to develop the knowledge and skills that you needed in order to thrive in the work that you're currently doing.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. So let's take that experience and apply it to your current frame of thinking in terms of your age and how it could hinder your ability to become a coach and become a great coach. Okay.
Okay.
So, how would age actually hinder your ability to show up and create those connections and serve powerfully and learn about coaching and attain the skill set that you need in order to become an amazing coach?
I guess when you frame it that way, I guess it doesn't affect it too much. I guess if I am determined and I get the skill set and know how to build the relationships, then I could thrive in it. I just when I think about coaching, like I want to be like I want to make sure that I get the best results for my clients, and I really want to serve my clients at the highest level. Just because I know like there's a lot of coaches in the coaching industry that aren't ethical or they're not authentic, and I want to set myself apart that way. And so I guess when I get the skills, I guess I could thrive in it despite my age. I just want to make sure I get enough of life experience. I want to make sure that when I'm in front of somebody and they're going through something, I'm actually able to help them because I did have the experience to be able to help them in that way. And so I guess age, if I did get the right skill sets, wouldn't play a huge factor. Just get nervous about like the life experience part.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think that those are all beautiful aspirations to have, and to be able to think like, okay, well, I'm the reason why I'm setting such a high standard is because I don't want to let my clients down, and I want to be able to serve at the highest level. So it sounds to me like have, you value the ability to perform and be your best for others. That like you place high value on that.
Yes, 100%. I want to impact the world and I want to be able to help someone that's going through something.
And of experience. That kind of led me to think about, I know you feel like because you're young, you don't have the life experience that you need to be able to help and create an impact for someone else. As a coach, do you believe that in order to help a client, you have to have gone through this experience as that client?
I guess not the exact same experience, but I think I feel like maybe it would help. Like I said, I'm not too sure. I think it would help in a sense. Like I think a lot of people relate to coaches that like went through what they went through and like, oh, this person did it. Like this person went through this and they were able to get out of it. I can do that too. Um, so I think it helps in a way. But I think if you know how to resolve it or you know how to help someone through it, and you care so much about getting them results, then I guess it would still work.
Yes, yes. And where would you say, up until this point in time of your life, where would you say you've had the most experience where you think you can help someone?
I think people facing adversity, I feel like I haven't won at everything in life, but I've at least bounced back in a way and kept fighting. I feel like I do have resilience, and I think I can help people that maybe don't have resilience or they're giving up on life a little bit. just from growing up in a low income family. At 8 years old, started to work just because my mom came up to me and said, "Hey, I can't even put clothes on your back." And so I was like, "Okay, I got to figure this out. I got to figure out how to get school supplies, clothes on my back." And going through bullying, not having friends, like I was always that person that was counted out. I was always the person that was not in that friend group. I was always counted out. Um, and then when my parents going through divorce and then kind of having to take my siblings under my wing and kind of raise them myself at such a young age. So I feel like the people that are going through like adversity but don't really know how to like keep going through it and how can they start winning. I feel like I can help with people with that just because I just had to figure it out. No, I knew no one was going to save me at a young age. I figured out no one's going to save me but myself. And so I think I can help people that is going through those adversities and don't really know how to get out of it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, the best coaches are the ones that have actually faced a ton of adversity and a ton of suffering. And they come back, want to recreate that or help others not go through what they went through, right? Like it's always a heart-centered, service first based mentality for the coaches that really want to create a positive impact on others. So, okay, thank you for sharing that, John. So it sounds like you actually currently do have some life experience that's valuable that, others would greatly benefit from.
I think so. I guess I overthink. I'm like, man, do I really have the experience? Like, can I really help others that are going through that?
Mhm. Yeah. And I think like, I mean, we are all on our own path, right? But the way we can look at things is like, this is where you're at in your path. And there are always going to be people who are further along than you on their path, on their experience, their knowledge, their skill set, their businesses, whatever it may be, right? But at the same time, there are also people who are not as far along as us. And when we think about those people, who are the people that we can serve that aren't as far along, but can also benefit from the knowledge and skills and experience that we currently have? And we know we can serve them. We know we can create an impact for those people.
Yeah.
So when you think about that, who do you feel would be best suited for you to serve if you were to serve someone?
Like if I was to serve someone now,
If you were to serve someone today, who do you think you'd be able to help?
I think like someone like similar to my age or a little bit younger, the kids that are going like high school or middle school kids that are going through like bullying, that are going through like kind of having a phase where they're like, am I even meant to do something in life? And just the people that are having a hard time bouncing back, that are having a hard home life, that are dealing with bullying and having a hard time in school. I think I think I might be able to help someone today that are struggling through those things.
I would agree. I would agree. And would your experience or age hinder your ability to help?
No, no. I think if they were in that age group, I don't think so.
Okay. Okay, that's wonderful. And this is kind of one of the ways we debunk some of the myths in our mind.
I appreciate it. Like I said, I've been overthinking this so much and it's been on my mind 24/7 for like a month now, maybe even longer than that. I'm losing track of time, but it's been something that just is on my mind all the time.
What does that do to your energy? What does that do to your motivation?
Oh, it drains me. I've always been a person that's had a plan, and so just overthinking something, it drains me. It I can't focus on what I'm supposed to be doing, or just give my energy to what I'm doing at work or at home, just because I'm just thinking about it so much.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I mean, when we're overthinking it, one of the things that we should try to always aspire to do is like get it on paper, right? When you take
Yeah,
something and you put it on paper, it carries a different energy. And it's almost like when you put something on paper, you expose it, you expose the thought, you expose the overthinking. And what it does is it creates a pattern interruption, right? So you no longer have to keep looping the thoughts in your mind, because all that's happening is your thoughts are looping. What you're doing is just thinking the same thoughts, right? Like, and it's taking you in a circle. So you actually never really come to a resolution. So writing it down on paper, creating a list, doing pros and cons, having a discussion with a coach, with a parent, with a friend, it allows you to go deeper, right? Because when we're overthinking, we're almost staying on the surface of our thoughts, but we're not really looking at like whether the thoughts are true, or what are the underlying issues or fears that we're actually experiencing, because we're too busy sort of having that repetitive thought, that repetitive loop going through, which isn't serving us in being able to come to a resolution.
Mhm.
So some more things that you kind of sort of discussed was like uh, lack of funds. That's kind of one of the issues that you brought forward in terms of starting now.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
can
if I was to become a coach, getting certifications would probably be a little bit hard right now just because of lack of funds. Um, haven't been performing my best at work these these past couple of months. So the lack of funds right now, just going for the certifications because I would love to go the certification route and get as much experience under my belt. And so that would be a little bit hard to do right now.
Okay, okay. So, I mean, super valid, right? Like we have to think about the monetary impact to our decisions. And I guess I would invite you to think about like how much do you think you need to just get started?
Not too sure. I'm not too sure. That's something I overthink.
Okay, okay. So let me reframe my question.
Okay.
Should there be ways of getting started that don't involve a lot of monetary resources?
There is. I think there is. Yeah.
Can we brainstorm some ideas around if there was a monetary constraint, how can we not allow that to stop us, but how can we find our way around it to continue to pursue if the decision is to start now, how can we overcome the constraint of not having the money to start a certification program?
So I've thought about a couple ideas. My first idea was creating content like on YouTube, uh, going over certain like personal development topics. So for me, I've been getting really into like reading. So some of the ideas I thought about was doing like book reviews or doing like a topic, like posting a YouTube video on a topic and kind of use like a book that I read or something that I watched as a reference or a source. So I thought about like breaking down books, breaking down those topics, and just posting on YouTube just so that I can get content out and actually start doing what I love to do. And that's talking about like, improving your life. The other thing is, I mean, I think that was actually the main thing. And I've thought about, I've helped my friends. Like I'm always been the friend that people go up to for advice. So, I just been helping my friends that are like getting into sales. They're in different industries, but I've been helping them with sales and just like improving their lives and just how can they make the most out of their day and succeed. So I think just continue to help my friends and giving them advice and kind of going through the things that I went through and how I was able to go from not doing good at something to doing good at something. So those were the two main things I've been thinking about was the content, just helping like my friends and family.
Yeah, I love that. About how can you create value and put out content that's going to help other people, and doing that through your own personal development and through your own, like through the books and your interests and what really excites you. So I think that that's wonderful. And I'm also wondering, like, what about the ability to get closer to becoming a coach? Like, what are there other ways of being able to get closer to that goal
Mhm.
that also don't require a whole lot of monetary investment?
Yeah, I think so. Like maybe like books or I'm not
Yeah.
too sure. I would think like books, reading books on topics of it, like coaching and self-development and psychology. I think. I'm not too sure.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer at all. It's just me helping you brainstorm, okay, if I want to become a coach, I don't have the money to go pay for like $10,000 for a full-on certification program. I'm helping you sort of brainstorm, okay, but what can I do? What is available around me? What could I leverage or who could I leverage? To be able to have access to the information, the skills, the experience, whatever it is that I need to help me get closer and closer to my end result or the goal that I'm trying to achieve. So
Okay.
really, so there's no right or wrong. It's just like brainstorming ways of getting around because like I'm sure Ed Milet, but he always says like when you don't have the resources, you have to get resourceful,
Mhm.
right? So it's like, what are the ways in which we can get resourceful to be able to keep putting that one foot in front of the other and keep getting closer to what it is that we actually want without allowing constraints to stop us or take us backwards.
I love
Right.
that. I love that. That's definitely something that is another thing I need to get answered because that's another thing I overthink too. I'm like, man, what can I do too? And so it's just all my thoughts I've been thinking about, it's like coming out now. So trying to
Good.
put them into words.
No, that's honestly wonderful. And I'll say it again, like because you're having all these thoughts and like that's just all a byproduct of the fact that you want more for yourself, you want more for your life, right? And you
Right.
want for others. So sometimes the process is just messy and we have to accept the fact that the process is messy, right? Like I know in our last coaching session, you wanted like an exact plan,
Yeah.
you know, like how to get
Yes.
from here to there. But like sometimes it feels good to know that it actually doesn't exist. Nobody really has an exact plan, right? Like
Right.
people, we can plan, yes, but things normally don't go according to plan, right? Like there's always things that change our plans. And it's when we can expect that to be like, that's going to happen regardless, it sort of takes like a little bit of the stress off and like needing everything to go according to plan because rarely does it ever, right?
Right. 1,000%.
So let's get into like one or two more, and then we're going to go into the cons of starting later. Okay.
Okay.
So one of the things you mentioned, like one of the cons of starting now is that you are not successful yet, right? So
Right.
that's kind of the things that you mentioned. So I guess I was curious to think, okay, well, what's your definition of success? Just so that, we're kind of on the same page of what you mean by I'm not successful yet.
So I guess what I mean by that is I'm going off like society's definition. I have a really bad like habit of comparing. And so since I've been thinking about this coaching thing for so long, I was kind of like looking at all the top coaches in the world or the top speakers in the world because I love to do public speaking as well.
Mhm.
Um, and I look at their stories and I'm like, man, I feel like they did something big before they became a coach and speaker. And then, people kind of looked at that like, oh my gosh, they were able to do like this huge thing. They were able to make millions of dollars and now they can, teach about it. And so for me, I guess that's not my definition of success. But I want to make sure I have like all the credibility in the world. And I feel like I haven't reached a financial success yet. And I feel like that doesn't give me credibility to help others. But for me personally, like success isn't about money, because I've earned money and I lived in a life where I didn't have money and I've been in a life where I did, and I don't think money is a success. I mean, I think it can definitely help with like freedom and it can be a tool. But my definition of success is just happiness and fulfillment. Like if you can feel that in your life and you can love others and you have people around you that love you, like that's success. Doing something that fulfills you. Like I want to help others. Whenever I help somebody or I make someone's day better, that's success to me because I feel so fulfilled and happy for that person and it makes me happy. And that's when I feel success. Because when I was making money, I was miserable. I hated life. I hated myself even more than I did initially. And I'm like, that's not success. That's just misery. Like I know there's so many people that make great money and that are just miserable. They don't spend time with their kids. They don't have time for their wives or husbands. And I'm like, that's not success in my eyes. So that's my definition of success. I guess I just compared to the society's definition of success.
Right, right. And I want to acknowledge you for really like knowing that society's definition of success is not your definition of success. And it's great that you actually got to experience the monetary aspects of success to also debunk the idea that I'll be happy when I'm successful, when I have money, when, right? And I think
Hmm.
that's something that's to your advantage because you're learning it so early on in life. Success does not equal happiness because we've made a bunch of money and we're able
A
to.
thousand percent.
But you're also right in that, like, yeah, of course, success also sometimes it means freedom, right? And but sometimes that freedom comes with a lot of strings. So
100%.
yeah, so it's
A
great
lot of
that
sacrifices. Yeah.
exactly
Sometimes the wrong, I believe in like sacrificing some things, but sometimes people to get that money aspect, they sacrifice the wrong things and the things that made them happy and fulfilled for the dollar bill.
right, exactly, exactly. Because really often in life, like it's really the feeling that those things are going to give us is what we're really after, right? Like if we get that house or if we get that car or if we get that boat or whatever it is, it's like it's how am I it's going to make me feel a certain way. But unfortunately, those feelings are like they're fleeting, right? Like they you might get that feeling at first, but then you kind
Hmm.
of go back to what's familiar, the emotions that are familiar, right? So, I mean,
Exactly.
it's definitely not a substitute. I also heard you talk about success maybe equals credibility. Like if I'm successful, I have more credibility. Did I hear that right?
In a way, yeah. I guess in a way, I don't think 100%, but in a way,
Okay, okay. I think in some certain circumstances, like yeah, like if you built a successful business and now you're helping other people build the same or similar businesses, it could make
yeah,
sense that, success in certain situations does equal credibility. But I
yeah.
guess the question is, does success always lead to credibility? Like, can there be people that are successful but are definitely not credible?
I would say so. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So then I guess my question for you is how does success and credibility hinder your ability to start now?
Um, I guess for me personally, it's like, have I gotten through 100% of the things I've like struggled with, and have I been successful doing it? For my part of things, like if I wanted to help people now, like I just feel like there's some things out there that I still struggle with to this day that I haven't been able to overcome and succeed doing it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's good that you're also honest with yourself, right? Like what I'm hearing is I haven't figured it out 100%, right? Or I'm still figuring certain things out.
Yes,
So my question to you is, okay, do you have an expectation on yourself of needing to figure it all out before being able to serve? Like, do you have that?
I do.
Okay, let's talk about that. That's good. That's good. Okay, so you feel that you really need to be able to have figured life out for yourself and figured out the things that you're currently struggling with for yourself in order to be able to help another person.
For me personally, yeah. I mean, it's probably the wrong answer, but that's just I've always had such high. I've had such high expectations. I've always had high expectations for myself. I've always set the bar so high, and so
No, I
sometimes it's helped me. Most times it hasn't.
It's okay. You're driven, you're a high performer, and you care a lot. So I can completely see why this is actually super important to you, right? Like you want to show up, serve powerfully, be able to show people with 100% conviction that you're actually able to overcome the things that you want to help them with, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you this. Will there ever be a time where you'll have everything figured out?
No. There's always going to at least be one thing.
At least. I mean, if it's
Yes.
one thing you're doing better than 99.999%
I
of
was
people,
about to. That is very true.
Absolutely. Okay, so then let's go a little bit deeper. Why do you feel so strongly about having to have everything figured out?
Not too sure. I'm not too sure. I just always I don't know. I've never been asked that before, so I guess I don't know how to put it into words.
That's
Um, I don't know. I just always been trying to be a perfectionist. I've always just because I've always struggled in life and I've taken so many losses, I guess I've tried to win at everything and try to figure everything out so that I don't have to feel that feeling of losing at something. And so I think that's one of the reasons. Like I said, I've never put these into words before. And just that high expectation of being perfect.
Mm, yeah, yeah. And it can hurt us, right? Because we're always setting an expectation that's unreasonable and unrealistic. And then we beat ourselves up around not being able to meet it, right?
Yeah, 1,000%.
So then let me ask you, John, who around you has been able to achieve that expectation that you have of yourself? Is there anyone in your circle or anyone who's helped you who's actually figured it all out and has been able to help you in your journey?
No, I don't think. Yeah, I guess the people I do know do struggle with something, at least a couple things, and they haven't perfected anything.
Okay, but were they able to help you?
Yes, they were able to help me. Yes,
Okay. So they are still trying to figure things out for themselves, but at the same time, they're also able to add value with what they do know, right?
yeah,
And how
that's
does
correct. Yeah.
that differ from you? How does that differ? Why is it that they were able to help you and not have it all figured out?
Now that you gave me that perspective, I guess it doesn't discredit me. I guess now that you put it in that perspective, I guess even though I struggle with things, I still can help. Like I'm not discredited with helping someone else if I'm still struggling with things.
Yeah. And what if you still struggling actually makes you more relatable to that person who's also struggling? What if it makes them feel more connected to you? What if you're actually more impactful because you can empathize with how they're feeling?
That's true. I guess I never thought about it that way. Never thought like going through things still, but still like performing and getting through it. I guess never thought about it that way.
Okay, so there is a possibility then, would you say that that con is perhaps not really a con?
I would say, yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so in looking at your cons of starting now, I guess I would like to know from you, how are you feeling around the cons that you described and how true were they really?
You've given me a different perspective, which is amazing. It's answered a lot of my questions, like that I keep asking myself. And I guess they're not true. I think they're just like you said, limiting beliefs of myself or just restricting myself from going to that next level because of fear
And fear of what?
of not being perfect or not having the answer or not having the credibility.
Yeah. And is it okay to not have the answer? Is it okay to build credibility? Is it okay to
Yes,
acquire those things along the way as you get better and better and put in those reps?
yes.
Okay. Amazing. Amazing. Okay, so would you like to now move to looking at some of the cons of delaying?
Yes. Yep.
We want to look at some of the pros of delaying
We can do either one. Yeah, we can do the cons first.
first. Okay, let's see here. All right, John. I'll invite you to think about the top one or two things that come to mind in terms of what you wrote down, and I can help fill in all the blanks.
So for me, the cons of delaying is I feel like I'm not going to. let's see, how do I put this in the words? It was easier writing these down. Like I said, I've never like talked to anyone about this before. So it's like, man, now I gotta actually find the words for this. The cons of delaying is just continue that feeling that I'm not doing what I feel like I should, like I'm meant to do, and continuing to delay it. Um, and I feel like I'm going to continue to feel that unhappiness and that unfulfillment of helping others, and just continuing just overthinking it and not just getting started. And so just keep having those minds race through my head all the time. That's going to be one of the cons of delaying, is just continuing going through those motions.
Right. Yeah, yeah. And what would it feel like if you didn't have to have all those emotions, those negatively charged emotions? What if you didn't have them? How
I
would
feel
that?
like I would have my drive back. I would have my drive and my passion back, because I just feel drained. Like I'm usually like super high energy and I'm always been the hype guy, but this past 2 months I've been, whew, I'm drained. Low energy. I'm ready to go to bed. I just woke up.
Well, yeah, your brain's probably been overthinking all night long. You wake up and you're tired.
$1,000%.
No, that's good. And I think that's one of the things that you came in with in our last session was like, I want to be able to find my drive and find my passion again, right? Like that's kind of one of the things that you've been noticing has gone missing from your life.
100%, 100%. And I know that when I am helping someone in some way, it comes back. I was on the phone with my friend a couple weeks ago, and this was the same friend that was asking about sales advice, and to be able to like teach him about it and like coach him and let him know that, hey, like you got this, you have all the talent in the world, you have the work ethic, like it. I just all of a sudden that fire ignited. I was helping him, and I was like, because I just see him being successful and it makes me happy. And so I was like, oh, yes, this is the feeling I miss.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that that's probably what gives you passion and what gives you drive is your ability to use your skill set, use your knowledge and use the amount that you actually care about other people. Direct all of that towards solving someone else's problem.
1,000%.
Yeah, yeah. I also saw your energy shift and change and you lit up and you're smiling and you're excited to talk how you were able to help and I love that. And I think that that's where passion comes from, right? It comes from the heart. It doesn't come from the head.
1,000%. It's amazing to see other people succeed and have an amazing life, because everyone deserves it. And I want him to succeed so bad. I just see it. Even if he does, I just see him succeeding. It makes me happy. And it makes me so excited for him and his family. It's like, it's amazing.
And also that's kind of the characteristics of a really great coach is being able to help someone see what they don't yet see for themselves, right? In the moment and in the future, right? Like when you have a compelling vision and a compelling future for someone, you help that person see it, right? So it sounds like
Yes.
you saw something in him that maybe he didn't yet see in himself.
Yes, agreed. Now he sees it. I'm like, yes, go get it then. Like, go get it. You have the plan. Just do it. You had it this entire time. You just gotta remind yourself that you can do it. And so it's just now he's going after it, and it's so amazing to see.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you have it too. Right.
I gotta start. I gotta start believing in that too. I gotta start working on myself and get myself to believe that for myself.
Absolutely. And you know what's beautiful is that if you're able to create that for someone else, it's almost evidence that you can create it for yourself, right?
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay.
Agreed.
Amazing. All right. So, did you want to mention another one for cons for delaying?
Man, I'm just brain farting today. um, I can't remember what I wrote down. I'm not too sure.
You said one of the cons of delaying, it was actually your first one. You said continue to not do what I love.
Right.
To me about that.
I love helping. Like if someone's struggling with something, I've always just wanted to be that helping hand. I've always been a person that sees things in people that they don't see in themselves. And I love doing that, because like I said before, the thing I've always gone by for years now is everyone has a big calling in this life. Some people know what they're supposed to do, and some people just they are meant to do something, they just haven't been shown the path. And if I can like help that person find that path that they're supposed to be on and that dream they're supposed to go on, it makes me so happy for them and excited because I just see them being successful and doing big things in life. And it makes me happy when someone else is happy.
Love that. I love that. You're almost like you like being the connector or the bridge to getting them from, where they are to where they're meant to be.
Yes.
Okay. 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 So one of the cons of that would be that you wouldn't get to do that.
Continuing not to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay, great. So, I think you're very clear on your cons. Like, I think that there's less, like, there aren't so many limiting beliefs around your cons of delaying because I think you're quite clear around the fact that, you are going to probably experience more of the same in terms of negative emotions, in terms of overthinking, because what happens when we delay is that we're deciding to stay in our current circumstances, right? Like
Right.
things to change, we have to change, we have to do things that, allow us to go out of those circumstances into new circumstances, new opportunities, new experiences. So I think you're super clear on the cons of delaying because you're actually experiencing those thoughts and emotions in the present moment, right?
Correct.
So I guess I would invite you to reflect on like what are you learning about yourself when you are thinking about the cons that you've put together in terms of starting now versus like some of the cons of delaying. Like how are you feeling in terms of like where things are? Is that decision? Because we said at the beginning of the session is like you want to walk away with being able to make a decision. So how
Mhm.
are you feeling in terms of which way you're leaning?
I feel like I'm more ready than I thought I was. I know that there's still a lot of things I struggle with, like speaking and communication. Still, I get a little bit nervous about like Zoom calls. I get nervous in front of the camera. So there's definitely a lot of things that I know I need to work on to be an effective coach, just communicating and speaking clearly and not stuttering as much. But I feel like I guess I've been through enough experience to be able to at least help a certain group of people and actually get started.
Okay. Okay. No, that's great. That's great. It's good for us to kind of take a pause and see where things are at with you right now. So
Yeah.
now it's time for us to take into consideration some of the pros of actually delaying.
Yes, the pros of delaying. For me, I know I wrote down the pros of delaying is continuing to build that life experience and building my knowledge, when it comes to self-development. So if I do delay on coaching, um, I'll still be able to build more experience so that I can help a broader audience or a broader topic for people that struggle with certain things.
Okay. And I guess my question is, do we need to help a broader audience when we start? Like, is that
No.
kind of the goal? And it could be yes, right? Like if you love
Yeah.
YouTube and you want to reach as many people as possible, then it makes sense, right? So it's like there's no right or wrong. It's just us
Right.
being able to put those beliefs and thoughts under a microscope and like really teasing out, okay, how much of this is relevant and how much of this is not relevant, right? Because at the
Hmm.
end of the day, what we want to do together is come to the right decision that makes sense for you in your life where you're at right now, right? Like, what is the right decision? What is the best decision given all the information that we have? And being able to tease those things out is one of the best ways of us being able to create a decision that makes sense.
Right. Right. I would say before this call, I would say, yes, I needed a broader audience. But now that you've given me different perspectives and you've helped me a lot with my limiting beliefs, I would say, I guess I wouldn't have to start broader. I could start very small and just get started helping just even one person.
Right. Okay. And I even think you mentioned who that one person is. Like you also kind of painted an avatar of like, who is this person and what have they struggled with and how can I help them with my experience, and I think that I personally, I think that you would probably be able to help way more than one person.
I guess so.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Do you have another like pro for delaying that is actually a good thing? for you?
Um, like I said, I would list a lot more things, but now you've given me different perspectives. I was going to say the pros is building up more funds to get those certifications, and because I'll be getting more life experience, I can start saving up. But now that you've given me different perspectives, I'm like, well, I guess I don't really have to get the certification now. There's other resources I could use. I can't remember the other things I wrote down. Um, not too sure what else I wrote down. I can't think on top of my head.
No, that's okay. Well, I think like, so maybe I'll share a little bit for me, like when before I
Mhm.
actually committed to undergoing the full-on certification program for my professional designation, I actually attended some free stuff. Like Brendan Burchard is like a top high performance coach, right? And he had like free courses. So I started doing those and sometimes even taking courses around self-awareness, right? Courses around clarity, courses around wellness. It actually helps you become a better coach because the best coaches are the ones that really understand themselves the most, right? Like they always
Mhm.
say, you connect with others to the degree within which you're connected with yourself, right? So when you work on you, when you work on your own self-development, when you're reading those books, when you're learning those lessons and applying them to your own life, it's actually what builds the credibility for you to be able to help another person. So even self-work is coaching, right? Because you're also coaching yourself into getting from where you are to where you want to go. So going on webinars, like there's so much out there it's actually free, right? Or very low cost. A lot of people have low ticket group coaching programs where it's very, very low cost and you have exposure to content, information, people, collaborations. So, like you said, you wanted to do like a YouTube channel. That's amazing. And that's another way that you can collaborate with other people also for free, right?
That's true.
So we do have so much at our fingertips. Like we have access to a lot and also not all coaches have certifications, right? Like not every coach has a professional designation, but even those coaches are in certain capacities also able to help other people, right? Like
Right.
it's an unregulated industry. There's no one way to do anything in coaching, right? But it's like, what makes sense for you and what can you do now with the time, energy, and resources that you have? And how do you align that to the aspirations of what you're looking to create for yourself?
I love that. I love that. That is so true. It gives me a whole different perspective.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think, and that's where the pattern interrupts come in, John. It's like we have this one way of thinking, like we're thinking that it has to happen in this specific way, in this specific order and sequence, right? But then it's like, actually, there are so many ways, so many paths to get to where it is. Like what we really need to be clear on is where we are now and where are we trying to go? How we get there, there's a multitude of ways, and there's no right or wrong, right? We try to choose the path that resonates most with us, that brings us, that we're interested in, that's fun, that's engaging, right? I'm passionate about learning about this. I want to be a sales coach, or I want, it's what are your interests? What are your passions? What are you most passionate about helping people with? And then how you get there, what is like comes that comes with time, right? And there's no one way and there's no one size fits all, right? It's what feels comfortable to you in the moment. What can you commit to? What are you interested in? What's going to bring you one step closer every single day, right? So it's really about making that commitment and being consistent. But before all of that, we're here because we want to have more clarity over, is this the right thing for us now, right? Is this the right thing
Yes.
for John at this point in time in John's life?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
is there anything else that you feel would be helpful in exploring in order to come to such a decision?
Let's see. Gosh, I'm not too sure. I think something you mentioned, like finding what you're passionate about, helping people with. Um, I'm always just a person that just loves like giving any advice. And so I think that's the other thing that I need to figure out is what am I passionate about helping like specifically, and what do I have the most experience in?
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes people are start out, like coaches will start out very general, like life coach, right? Well, that's everything under the sun. And
Yes.
as they start coaching, they start gravitating to certain aspects of coaching. Oh, actually, I actually help people figure this out or, solve for this problem. So with time, people start to niche down and really get good and skilled at a specific thing that they do, and they do it really, really well. And if you're that type of person that likes to be highly specialized, then that comes with time too, time and exposure.
Okay.
Being able to do those reps and do, and coach and really realize about yourself, like, oh, actually, I'm good at this and I enjoy it. And that's when, like, you kind of hit the jackpot when you're actually really good at doing something and you actually love doing it too, right? So that's sort of like, okay,
Agreed.
follow that, go down
Yes.
the rabbit hole. That's gonna take you because a lot of really amazing coaches are also highly specialized in what it is that they do, right?
Yeah.
So and it makes you more sought after because there's not as many coaches that are specialized than there are coaches that are more generalized in being able to sort of coach on the coaching process and being able to get results for people in different aspects of life. So if and that's a self-awareness thing. If you know that you're the type that really likes to go deep instead of wide on a specific topic, then you know that you're going to probably end up being someone who's going to be highly specialized in their coaching practice.
That's
So,
the goal. I think that's why if I was to become a coach, I think that's where I would like to get to is to be a specialized coach in a certain topic and be that when someone says like resilience or
mhm,
any word they think of, those coaches.
yeah, yeah, no, and that's great. And that's a great thing to know about yourself. So, okay. So then if you were to think about like, am I ready to make a decision today? And there's no right or wrong, right? Like it's okay to also not be ready. It's okay to also
Yeah.
say I need more time to think about it. This is great reflection, but I feel like I'm not ready to commit to a decision. How are you feeling?
I'm still I'm more leaning more towards like I can do this now. Um it's just I guess I do have to work on a couple of things before I I like actually start going towards it. For me, like I said, speaking and communicating. I also want to, if I also want to make sure that the things that I teach are like there's methods to it. I don't want to be that hype person. Like I do love helping people. I love making people feel better and see a bigger picture. But I want to also make sure that I can actually give them a system or a format to get to where they want to be. So I think just my communication and the way I speak and get my message across, because sometimes I can ramble and then bounce from point to point. So I think working on my communication and speaking, I think if I can get that, at least get a little bit better with it, or at least get my message across, then I think I'll be ready.
Okay, perfect. Okay, that's great. It's great to stay honest with yourself, right? Like if I'm not able to make a decision right now, if I need more information or if I need to do a couple more things, then I'm going to do that. what what my role is in this is the ability to help you take action as well as make a commitment, right? So there is action and there's accountability. And that way, as a coach, I know I've done my job when you've been able to figure out what are the next one or two things that you need to do to get you closer to making a decision. And then how do we bring in accountability to ensure that you're actually going to be able to follow through? So, are there any actions that you'd like to commit to that will help close that gap for yourself?
Um, I would say doing like a speaking video, like working on speaking or watching videos or workshops for at least an hour a day to and then also I think for me personally maybe making some like content or making like a presentation and just practicing speaking and presenting and getting my point across. So I think that would be a great step is just watching videos and getting into action on how to become a better speaker and how to communicate your message.
Okay. 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 So then how would you be able to hold yourself accountable to that like 1 hour a day? Who
For
can
me,
help?
it would just be, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just gonna say like who can help you or what can help you?
If I wasn't being accountable or if I wasn't taking action, have like my girlfriend keep me accountable. But for me personally, like I like to write my days out, and I like to make a list of what are my priorities for that day? Like, what are the must have to be done? And then I like to time block my day. With sales, it can be a little bit harder, but I mainly do it for before I go to work and after I get off work. And I make sure I have a certain time set aside to do it and make it a priority to hit those. Like I make a list of what's important and I have to hit those that day. Like the other things on my list, like yes, I want to do them, but I have to get these done first. So if I can't get those done, then they weren't priority anyway. These were like a must have. So I would make learning about speaking and communicating a priority and a must have in my time management.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It sort of sounds like you're starting now. That's what it sounds like to me. But okay, so then if making a decision is top of mind for you and you taking these actions and holding yourself accountable to following through will bring you closer to making a decision. Can you commit to a date by which you will have made a decision on whether you're going to start now or delay?
I feel more confident. Like I'm leaning more towards starting now. To get like the speaking thing down. Oh gosh, that's hard. Because some things I pick up pretty fast, some things I don't.
Right.
um,
So when we started the call, John, you wanted to walk away with a decision on whether you're going to start now or you're going to delay. If I understand correctly, you're not ready to make that decision, or are you ready to make a decision?
I am. I think, I'm overthinking that. I think I just need to start now. My heart's telling me to start now. I know I struggle with speaking, but like you said, when you're a coach, you grow as you go.
Yeah.
And so if I suck at speaking, that will make me relatable. It makes it's I think it's going to be a journey, and I think it can help. Maybe it can help some people too. Like, hey, okay, he wasn't great at speaking. Look at him, 2 years from now, and he's a great speaker and he speaks confidently. But if you look 2 years ago, he was stuttering. He didn't communicate well. He didn't get straight to the point. So I think starting now and just growing as I go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love what you said. You said it would actually make you more relatable. The fact that you weren't going to be perfect starting out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Relatability, it creates connection. And as a coach, you want to have connection with the people that you're serving, right? Like,
right,
no, people aren't looking for perfection. If anything, if I was to see someone perfect, I would probably start second guessing myself, right? Like I'd start comparing. Like um, people don't look to perfection for the solutions, right? Because it's perfection is not sustainable, right? You can do
right.
something once, but can you do it perfectly every single time? That's again part of fears, right? We say we want to be perfect because we're scared of starting. We're creating excuses for why we need to wait. And I loved what you said, which is that your heart is telling you to start now. And I think the big decisions in our life, we should follow our intuition and we should follow our heart. We should follow what it is that we feel, right? Because if we give that role to our minds, if we let the big decisions, if we let our brains identify whether or not we should do something, your brain will always tell you to not do it, right? Because it's not safe, it's unfamiliar, and it's way out of your comfort zone, right? And you know as good as anyone, when you're growing, you are going to be continuously placed out of your comfort zone. You're going to stay uncomfortable.
1,000%, 1,000%. And I gotta accept the fact of being uncomfortable in this kind of like pursuing because I've always I wouldn't actually sorry, I wouldn't say I always, but I when I got into sales, I had to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, especially when I was really shy. Like I would still say I'm shy, but I'm like I've trained myself to okay, just get out of your bubble. But I've had to accept the fact of being uncomfortable, and I got to do that with this as well.
Uh, I love it. At the beginning of our call today, you said that you wanted to walk away with a decision on whether you're going to start your coaching journey now or if you're going to delay it till later. Now that we're at the end of our call, you're saying you've made the decision to start now.
Yeah,
How are you feeling about that decision?
it's a little bit scary, and I still am overthinking it, but at the same time, I'm in the back of my mind. We only live once, and I want to make the most out of my life. And if even if I impact one person, that's success to me. And so I just want to get started now. We don't live, we all have an expiration date. We don't know when it's going to be. And so you might as well live your life to the fullest and just give it all you got. 'Cause I don't want to lay in my deathbed and regret anything.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. None of us do. Right. And sometimes we just got to push ourselves out of that comfort zone and start when we're not ready because we're never ready. Right. You're taking on the world. You're doing some big things. You want to have a big impact. You're never going to be ready for that. But you can get ready. We can get ready by taking action. Right. Inaction will continuously perpetuate a feeling of not ready, of not perfect, can't start, I'm scared. But once we make a decision, then and only then do we start taking the right actions. And even if they're not the right actions, we start taking any action, whether it leads us closer or not, it's irrelevant. It's just the fact of getting in motion, building momentum, getting closer, having something to aspire to. That's going to bring back our drive and that's going to bring back our passion.
100%. 100%. I feel that fire in me just thinking about helping others. Like it's just it I miss it. I miss that feeling. I love it. I love helping others. So just having that feeling again makes me so happy.
So good. Okay, John, is there anything else that I can help you with, or would this be a natural place for us to stop our time here together?
Let's see if I have any more questions. um, given my like story and my experience, like I know I only like kind of touched on it. I know you said like being general at first and then kind of finding that niche as you go. Is there anything that you've seen from me that you think I could help someone in a certain topic? Or do you think I should start more general?
I mean, I think you should start where you feel comfortable to start, right? I know you mentioned
Right.
earlier that you feel like you are someone who has really overcome a lot of adversity and you feel like you're someone who has a lot of resilience and you felt like you could actually help people through adversity and how to build resilience. So it's like, where do you feel that you can add the most value? Where do you feel the most confident, right? You're not perfect, you're not 100% there all the time, but this is where you feel most useful. Start there.
Okay.
Like I struggled with mindset for most of my life. So I decided like I'm going to hyper obsess over mastering my mind, right? And I'm not there yet, but I'm still helping people, right?
Yeah.
Have my own limiting beliefs. I have my own negative thought patterns. Like I still continue to experience those things to this day. But because I've had so much experience with it, positive and negative, that's what makes me feel like I'm best placed to serve those people because I can understand them, right? I've been through it, I'm still going through it, and I'm able to connect with them, right? Because I become more relatable. So I would say always start where you feel that you're best placed to serve in that area.
Okay. That means a lot. That answers my question. That means a lot. You've been amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I've really enjoyed coaching you, John, and I love seeing you progress week by week and expand your thinking and really humble yourself in looking at some of your thoughts and looking at some of the things that you've been thinking about yourself and your environment. And I love the fact that you are not afraid to call yourself out or make that shift, right? Especially because it's really empowering you to keep building on what it is that you're trying to create for yourself. And I love that about you. It tells me that you have a growth mindset and you are going to become an amazing coach.
That means a lot. You've been so amazing. I wouldn't have this perspective without you. You've been the best coach ever.
I received that and I appreciate you. Okay, John, till next time, keep growing.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. You've been amazing. Thank you so much.
Take care.